Hello, and welcome to another Rubyology screencast, number 13. Today we're going to be talking about DBM. Actually, it's SDBM, previously known as DBM. And I've always, referred to DBM as Database Manager, but I think this was an earlier idea of what Matt's had in mind with Ruby. It comes baked into Ruby native, and last screencast we covered Kirby Base. So this one is going to be it's a similar concept to a database engine, except it uses predominantly hashing as a storing mechanism. So what we showed with Kirby Base, I probably should have flipped them and done this one first. Kirby Base was a more sophisticated database engine, whereas DBM, there are no gems to install, and it just comes baked into Ruby. And there are times where this comes in handy. But let me just kind of start off, and I'll show you the power of it. If we do, we'll start with a require, and if you find documentation out there on it, you'll see it's all using DBM in the require. You're going to want to add an S in front of this. But all the rest of the documentation will behave the same. So if we just create a variable reference, and we call it SDBM instead of DBM, .new, and we'll give it a name of a file, what we want to call this, and it actually does write a file to your system for this. So let's go ahead and say A, and then inside of here, like a hash value, we'll say 123. How about that? We'll just name this something. We'll say equals, I'll tell you what, let's make this a little more meaningful. And we'll say a last name equals, and this obviously is my name. So let's output this to the screen. Let's say puts this bracket first name, and then here we'll do a concatenation, and then we'll do another A last name, and then let's go ahead and close this just like you would a database reference. Let me do a command R, Apple R, run this, see what it does. There we go. So it wrote Chris Matthew, and that's what we told it to do here. Now what's interesting, if we were to try to reference A again here, we would get an error since it's closed. So let's try to do a puts A. This should give us an error. I haven't tested it, but sounds right. Yep, there you go. So it wrote it, but then it gave me a closed SDBM file. So you'll see that that truly is a file-based application. Now, what's interesting, you can rerun this. Let's do a read. So let me start up another instance of this. Do B equals SDBM, and we'll do a .open instead of a new. We'll say it's my data again, so we grab the right hash file, and this time I'm going to say, tell you what, let's read puts B. Yeah, I tell you, we'll do a we'll just do my first name. How about that? And we'll close it. Okay, so this one should write Chris Matthew, skip a line, and then Chris. Let's try it. There we go, Chris Matthew and Chris. Now I do want to show you what's interesting here is that the new, if it already exists, it's not going to recreate a new one, and you saw that by it running Chris Matthew again. But the open opens and puts and grabs basically a read of that hash. So an interesting thing, we could actually grab this. Let me replace it here. We obviously need to change the A's to B's. Now it's cool. Just to show you that all this exists still, I'll yank this out. So all we're doing is we're going to just open my data, and it should still reference Chris Matthew even though we don't have set here. So that should be a good test of whether or not we're reading these hashes from the my data file. So let's run this Apple R. And there we go, Chris Matthew. So that shows us that we're writing this. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of what you can do with the SDBM baked into Ruby. Check it out and let me know what uses you see for this. So until next time, crack open your editor